In a quiet corner of Diamond Creek Cemetery rests a young man whose future once seemed full of promise. His name was Flying Officer Alaric Rupert Samuel White, known to family and friends as Rex. Today, his grave stands as a reminder of a wartime tragedy that occurred not on a distant battlefield, but here in Victoria. The inscription tells a simple story. Flying Officer Alaric R.S. White, killed in an aircraft accident, November 8, 1942, aged just 27 years. At first glance, those words seem straightforward, yet they reveal only a small part of the story. To understand what really happened to Rex White, we need to look beyond the headstone. Rex White was born in North Fitzroy on the 7th of October 1915. He was the only son of Samuel and Winifred White, whose family would later become closely connected with the Diamond Creek district. Before the war, Rex worked as a bank official in the small Victorian town of Lake Bolac. By all accounts, he was building a promising future for himself. But the world was changing. As war spread across Europe and beyond, many young Australians answered the call to serve. Rex was one of them. Joining the Royal Australian Air Force, he began a journey that would ultimately change his life forever. Despite the uncertainty of war, life continued. In January 1941, an announcement appeared in Melbourne's Herald newspaper. Rex White had become engaged to Margaret Watts of Ballarat. At the time, he was serving with the Royal Australian Air Force in New South Wales. Like countless young couples during the war years, Rex and Margaret looked forward to a future together, a future they hoped would begin once the war was over. As the conflict intensified, Rex continued his service with the Royal Australian Air Force. He eventually attained the rank of Flying Officer and was posted to No. 1 Service Flying Training School at Point Cook. The school played a critical role in Australia's war effort. Here, young men learned the skills needed to fly military aircraft and prepare for operational service. Rex's role was not simply to fly. He was helping train the next generation of wartime pilots. On the evening of the 8th of November 1942, an airspeed Oxford training aircraft, serial number X7111, was preparing for a routine night training exercise at the Werribee Satellite Aerodrome. A trainee pilot was preparing for departure. Flying Officer Rex White was carrying out his duties near the aerodrome control area. It should have been an ordinary training flight. Instead, it would become a tragedy. As the aircraft commenced its takeoff run, it suddenly swung out of control. The Oxford ground looped and veered from its intended path. Standing nearby, Rex White was struck by the aircraft. His injuries proved fatal. He was just 27 years old. The trained pilot survived the accident. For Rex White, however, the war was over. News of Rex's death quickly reached family and friends. Newspaper notices appeared remembering a beloved son, brother, fiancé and friend. For Samuel and Winifred White, the loss was especially devastating. Rex had been their only son. For Margaret Watts, the future they had planned together would never come to pass. Today, Flying Officer Alaric Rupert Samuel White, affectionately known as Rex, rests here in Diamond Creek Cemetery beside his family. More than 80 years have passed since that tragic November evening. The aircraft is gone, the airfield has changed, the generation that knew Rex has largely passed into history. Yet his story remains. A young man engaged to be married, a flying officer of the Royal Australian Air Force, and a reminder that the cost of war was not measured only on distant battlefields. Sometimes it was felt much closer to home.